Welcome to Powered by Her, exploring the stories of how area women power their business. Hear from the growing network of female entrepreneurs of the Upper Cumberland with your host, Tiffany Anton, director at the Biz Foundry. Powered by Her starts now.
Hello, you are listening to Powered by Her. I am Tiffany Anton with the Biz Foundry, and I am in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center. Today we have on Cigi England with Cigis Boutique. And good morning, Cigi.
Good morning, Tiffany.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you being here. So tell us about your business, first of all.
So my business, I just turned 4 in the business world.
So you're in preschool these days?
I'm in preschool. I kind of am getting the gist of what I'm supposed to be doing. I sell women's clothing and accessories, sizes extra small to 3XL.
Okay, and you have one location here in Cookeville, Tennessee?
Yes, one location here in Cookeville, Tennessee at 410 East Spring Street, and also cigisboutique.com.
Okay, so why this particular business? What made you choose to do fashion?
So my major, I majored in human ecology with a concentration in fashion merchandising and design from Tennessee Tech. I graduated in 2006. I moved to Atlanta and I worked in the wholesale industry. I worked for America's Mart and I worked on the trade shows there. So I worked kind of every aspect of retail, from working in a retail store first and then studying it in college and then working the wholesale side. When I decided to move to Cookeville and open a store, I felt like I had all the puzzle pieces for my business to be successful because of my past career choices. And it just felt like the natural thing to do. So, I mean, you kind of touched on that a little bit there, but why did you choose to come back to Cookeville? Why open a store? Why be an entrepreneur? It's a lot easier to work for somebody else. Yes, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more safe, in quotation marks. But honestly, all of my friends stayed in Cookeville after graduation, so I would come back to Cookeville and go to birthday parties and weddings and, baseball games in the summer. And I felt like I was missing out on what was important in life. And this totally sounds like a Hallmark movie, but
Which is your thing.
It really is. I love Hallmark. But I decided to move back to Cookeville, and I really honestly didn't have a plan. And I called my mom and I was like, I think I want to move back to Cookeville. And she was like, okay, great. What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I don't know yet. And then my dad was like, you can't quit your job. You make amazing money. You're doing really well in Atlanta. Like, what's your plan? So honestly, it was just a gut instinct, and I prayed about it, and the right things kind of fell into place. And I came back to Cookeville, and within 6 months of moving back, I opened my store. Started small. So a friend of mine owned a building, and I rented like 400 square feet. And gave it like a trial run. And then after that was successful, then I moved across the hall to where my current location is. And it's been 4 years, almost 5 now.
Wow. So what do you think your personal strengths are that help you to run a business and be an entrepreneur?
My personal strengths, I care about people. I genuinely want to help people. When people come into my store, you're usually looking for something in particular, and I love to help women find what they're looking for. I like to make people feel beautiful and important. And so from a very, when I was planning my store from a very early point, I was like, okay, I want this to be welcoming to everybody. I don't want it to be intimidating. I want everyone to be able to afford it. So I think that my personal strengths are I care about people. I genuinely care and want to help.
So you said people are usually coming in for something. Do you feel like you play into their psychology of something, like their emotional state?
Absolutely.
Do you think, tell me about a situation where someone's come in and you've been able to kind of turn their emotional state?
So actually yesterday, a mother came in and was shopping for an outfit for her daughter's funeral. And we cried together and then we ended up laughing together. And I think that she's going to come back and see me because of our moment and our connection that we had. And, that's a sad story, but there's also been happy stories where people come in and they're getting their graduation dress or their bachelorette party dress. And so I want to know why you're here, what are you looking for, and how can I help? And I genuinely have made friends. Like, I have real friends that started out as customers.
Isn't it crazy how you you think, I mean, could you ever have guessed that this is the impact that you would make on this woman's journey with her daughter and her daughter's death?
No.
Could you ever have thought 5 years ago that this is the impact you would be making?
No, and it makes me like I'm tearing up right now, and so are you. We're crying. But I prayed that, my store would be my resource to give back, and my store would be my resource to help my community. And when things like that happen, I just have to thank God, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Everybody can't be a physician. Everybody can't, I joke all the time and I say, I'm not curing cancer, but I'm helping people in my way that I can help. And whether that be boosting your mood, making you feel beautiful, making you feel cared for, I'm selling dresses at the end of the day, but there's so much more that goes into it. And I never would have thought that I could have made an impact like I've made because of this store and because of the community support.
So you mentioned that you're doing so much more than selling dresses at the end of the day. Let's look at the business side of running a business. Mm-hmm. How difficult? So fashion inside outside. You worked in Atlanta. You and that's your trade. Mm-hmm. How difficult was it when you got started to know how to balance your books, how to market all these things? Mm-hmm. How difficult?
Very difficult. And my number one rule of what you need to do when you open a business is hire an accountant, because that's not my strong point. I'm not great with numbers. I'm not great with math. I'm not great with seeing the big picture. I'm good at being a people person and helping people and picking out clothes. But when you own a business, you can't just say, oh, I like to shop, so I'm going to open a boutique. You have to have all of the skills, and if you don't have them personally, then you need someone on your team that does. So hiring an accountant, a good accountant that I can communicate with, that doesn't intimidate me, that I can text at 9 p.m. if I need to, that's important for owning and running a business.
What would be the number 2 person that you would think that you need to hire?
Social media, marketing, that type of personality. I can do that, but for 3.5 years, I tried to do it all on my own. And finally, I came to a breaking point last year, and I was like, okay, I've got to give up some of this control, and I need help because I'm going crazy. So I hired someone to do my social media, and it's the best decision that I've made.
Well, and sometimes I feel like as an entrepreneur, you feel like, especially in your business, I mean, the business is your name.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so you want to be the face of it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's hard to think, well, maybe I won't be the face of that. Mm-hmm. So how did you handle that situation?
I just knew that I needed help, and I needed to bring other people on my team, and I couldn't do it all. And when you are a one-woman show, I am every department. I'm hiring, I'm human resources, I'm marketing, I'm everything. I'm sales, advertisement. I thought, okay, I'm going to have to give up some money, but when you're an entrepreneur, you have to spend money to make money. But when you're a one-woman show or a one-man show, it's kind of scary, and you have to, look at the big picture and say, okay, if I spend this much, is it going to return X? So it was scary to do that, but I knew that I had to.
Yeah. In case you're just joining us, you're listening to Powered by Her in the Hinton Oakley Podcast Center, and we have Cigi England with Cigi's Boutique in the studio today. So when we talked a little bit about starting out, where did you get your emotional support to kind of keep going?
My friends. We went to dinner one night when I was talking about opening the store, and they were all like, oh, Cigi, you can do this. And it's so easy when you don't have anything to lose or anything to risk to say, oh, girl, you got this. So my friends were like, you can totally do this. And with them, kind of gassing me up and telling me, you got this, you can do this. There's no way that you can't do this. There's no way to fail. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And so they supported me. In the beginning, I didn't have money to do radio ads or billboards or anything, and my friends were my walking, talking billboards. That's how you heard about my store.
Correct, yes.
So they would share on Facebook, or they would wear their outfits and tag me and share it and blow it up on Facebook and Instagram, and that's kind of how I got started.
So friend-wise, and you touch on the fact when they don't have anything to risk or lose. They're great, and they're great cheerleaders. Who business-wise was a mentor for you, or who kind of helped steer you along the way?
Definitely Natalie Stout, who owns the realty firm. Amber Flynn Jared, who works at the realty firm, has the Jared Group. So I kind of had this powerhouse of friends that had already jumped out and started their own businesses. So I guess that's why it wasn't scary for them. Mike Reel, who is my landlord, and he has several other, side businesses. So I think once you've done it, you see like, if I can do this, you can do this. And that's how I am now. When people come to me and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about starting this, I'm like, do it, girl. You got this. So once you've done it yourself, it's much easier to tell someone that they got this.
Was there a deeper trust in those people that were actual business people than people that tell me about how the difference between just your friends who were sitting around having a glass of wine or conversations with Natalie or Amber, how those differed?
I think because they had been through it and they could relate with me and they knew the risk that I was taking, and they actually, have told me and have shared with me the stories about their risks. Therefore, when your friends have done it, it's almost like peer pressure, like, well, they've done it, I can do it, but in a positive way.
Right. So what advice would you give to, let's say somebody comes into your store and they want to start their own business? What's advice, aside from getting an accountant, what would you tell them?
I always tell people, because I get emails and phone calls all the time of people wanting to meet with me and kind of pick my brain. I tell them, do your research. Shadow someone that is doing whatever you want to do. If you want to open a pet store, then go to a pet store, ask if you can intern, ask if you can shadow, because until you do something hands-on, you don't even know if you enjoy it. So I had worked in retail, I had worked in wholesale, I'd worked in the trade show industry. So I kind of knew the industry and all the ins and outs of it. So I knew what I was getting into. Some people have a great idea and they have an interest and a passion, and they think, okay, I want to do this and I want to make my living by doing this. But until you have talked to a mentor, shadowed or interned someone, you don't know that that's what you want to do. So do your research.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to switch gears and talk about maybe a challenging time. And so I remember, maybe it was a year or so ago, you made this big announcement that you were going to open a hair salon. Is that what it was?
Yes.
In your hometown. So I haven't heard anything more about that. So I'm guessing maybe that was a challenging time.
That was definitely a challenging time. That was August of 2017. I bought a business in my hometown, and it was a salon, and I was going to run the salon and have a boutique there, and it was called Cigis Boutique. Yes. So people in my hometown, they support me up here, they shop here, and they're like, man, will you ever open anything back home? Are you going to do anything back home? So this was a good, what I thought was a good opportunity to take my business and share it with my hometown peeps.
Expand out.
I learned very early on that if you don't have good help and good support, you cannot have multiple locations. And I'm only one person and I can't be at both places. And so I was having to hire people to run my business here when I wasn't here, and then hire someone to run that business there. And it's so hard to find good help. And I hate to sound negative, but I know that no one's going to care about it as much as I do because my name's on the door. But unless you have good help, you can't grow. And so that was a very, it was very challenging, and it closed. I ended up closing my business there, and I sold the business. So it's still a hair salon, but I have nothing to do with it. But
what was that? What was it about? So hair is not fashion. Was that aspect of things difficult for you to expand into another realm of?
No, that wasn't, because I had someone to run that part of it. And I said, look, I know nothing about hair. Actually met with Tracy that owns locks here in Cookeville, and I shared with her what I was doing, and she gave me some great advice. And it was just finding the help to make it what I wanted to be, and no one's going to care about it. And I didn't really have the time or the means to train someone. I just kind of jumped into it head first. So it was a failure. On paper, it was a failure, but I didn't feel like a failure because I tried it,
What was your biggest takeaway from the experience?
I need to spend more time researching the area because I've been out of my hometown for 16, 17 years. I haven't lived there. and that market is not there. The people that support me from my hometown that shop with me currently, it's maybe 5% of that town. So I needed to do more research. I needed to get more involved in that community because even though I was born and raised there, I've been gone for 17 years. So that community is no longer what it was when I was there. So I needed to do more research. I needed to do more market research. I needed to hire someone and train someone to let that be their baby because I'm not going to be there all the time, instead of just being like, yeah, let's do this. So spend more time researching.
Yeah. You're listening to Powered by Her. I'm Tiffany Anton, and we're in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center. We have Cigi England in with us with Cigi's Boutique. You keep going back to the fact that you need to, it's difficult to hire someone you trust, and it's a lot of pressure. It seems as though you found someone.
Yes.
Tell me, what's that magic ingredient in what have you found?
So Chelsea is my employee, Chelsea Groover. She worked with me when I first opened part-time. She was a student at Tech. Then she kind of felt like that wasn't the right place for her, so she went full-time in a totally different area, started a new career. Then she came back to me, and I said, Chelsea, I need you. You've been with me since the beginning. How can I make this perfect for you? I will take care of you because I need you. So she is now back as a student at Tennessee Tech, and she just does my marketing and my Facebook and social media, all my Instagram. She posts for me. She has her own schedule. We kind of sat down and said, okay, how can I make this work for you? How can I shape this position into something that will not take away from your school time, but you can still be, of an asset to me. So we sat down, we made a plan, and she has been such a help to me. Customers know her. They see her face on social media. I've got a billboard with her over on Spring Street because she is very important. And you're going to see me when you come into the store, but on Facebook, on social media, you're seeing Chelsea, and I give her all the credit for that. When people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw this on Instagram, you're doing such a great job, that's Chelsea. So
do you think that it's, as the entrepreneur, is it more important to invest in your employees, not even financially, but emotionally and support wise, or is it more important for them to kind of prove their worth to you?
It is more important for me to invest in them because when people feel appreciated, they're going to do a better job. I know when I feel appreciated and when people tell me, hey, you're doing good, I'm so thankful for you, I want to do better because I know that I'm appreciated. And so I think people's personalities are different. For Chelsea in particular, I feed into her. She knows that I believe in her. I support her. I need her on my team. So I think that she performs based off of that, based of what I'm, giving her.
Mm-hmm. What keeps you going? What keeps you continuing to go forward and moving along?
I love what I do, and I'm so thankful to be here. And as cheesy as it sounds, like every day when my eyes open, I'm like, thank you, God, that I'm going to my store, and thank you for this town that supports me. And this town, time out, this town is amazing. I could have opened my store in any other town in America, and I don't think that it would have been as successful as it has been in Cookeville because of the people in Cookeville. Mm-hmm. These people shop local. They want to support local. They, want to see our community thrive, and they know that when they spend their money with me, it's going back into the community. So I think that my passion for what I do and my passion for helping people is what keeps me going.
Isn't it interesting how you can have that heart for helping people, and there's a million things that you can do to quote unquote help people, and tapping into your trade and your skills of fashion, and you can help people so well, and in this community be able to do that.
It's amazing, and I've always wanted to help people, but I didn't know, how I could do it or what I could do, but because I have a successful business and because this community supports me, I'm then able to give back to the community. Mm-hmm. And I've been able to give back so much, and I'm not asking for praises and I'm not tooting my own horn. It's because my customers support me, and they, they want to help their community too. And I give them outlets to help the community by getting cute clothes.
What's the most valuable lesson in the 4 or 5 years? What's the most valuable lesson that you have learned as an entrepreneur?
Ask for help when you need it, or you will get burned out. And when you are burned out and when you're exhausted, you can't do anything good.
Can you think about a time that you needed help and
Yes.
you had to ask?
Yes, last Christmas, or not Christmas, but the holiday shopping season, I had an awesome worker, and she had just graduated from tech, and she got a nursing job way sooner than she thought she would. And so, of course, she had to leave me, and I didn't have a plan B for if she were to get a job. So I had to work the entire holiday season by myself, and I was calling like my friends to come work on Saturdays. My husband was working on Saturdays. My mom was coming up because I physically and mentally was zapped, and I'd pushed myself to the limit of go until you can't go anymore.
How do you know where that limit is? As women, it's hard. We're grinders. We get out there and we're doing our thing. And how do you find that line?
So now, since last year, I pay more attention to my body, and I think I was ignoring red flags like, I'm fine. But, my breaking point was I started crying in the grocery store parking lot for no reason. I just sat in the Aldi parking lot and was bawling hysterically, and I texted my husband and I was like, I'm not okay. But you just get to that point where you're giving, you're pushing, you're going, and you can't, if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of anything or anyone else. And so now I practice self-care. I'm really, really, really an advocate for self-care. And I think that we as women sometimes think it's selfish to take care of yourself, as silly as that sounds. But if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of anyone else.
I really like the analogy of if you're a vase and somebody's pouring water into you or your self-care, and as women, we always pour into, we pour a little bit into each one.
Yes.
And where does that leave us if we pour all of ours into everyone else?
Empty.
We're empty.
Yeah.
But if we stand up straight and we let it be poured into us, and what happens if it continues to pour into us? It just overflows.
Yes.
And everybody else will get filled because we're filled.
Yes.
We're filled.
Yes.
And so it's very interesting analogy, and I think it's so true for women entrepreneurs, is that we just want to give and go. And if we just let it pour into us, we'll be full and we'll have so much more to give others.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
What is your secret ingredient to having a successful business?
Positivity. I wake up with positivity. I choose to be positive. I choose to be happy. And I mentor some girls, and I said, girls, you could very easily wake up and say, oh, I gotta get up. Oh, it's raining. Or you could wake up and say, I'm alive. I'm healthy. I got another shot at it. You have to choose to be positive. You have to choose to be happy. And it's just as easy to choose to be negative.
Just as easy. But at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, what's going to make you feel better about your day overall? A positive attitude,
yes,
or letting it drain you and
yes,
be
and
negative?
no matter what happens, you can find a positive outlook on any situation.
Mm-hmm.
You really, or you can find a negative outlook.
That's true,
Yes.
and it's all about choices, and,
Yes.
and that's the beauty of life, is that we're given those choices to make, and we can choose which way to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Powered by Her in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center. We have Cigi England with Cigi's Boutique in today. So, as we kind of wrap up, what's next? What's the direction? We tried hair salon in
Check
small
that
town
off the list.
Whitwell.
Yeah, well, that's how you really say it, but when you're from there, you say Whitwell.
But is this like the Cookeville kind of thing?
Yes,
I'm
it
not.
is.
I'm a northerner, so so we tried that. We can check that off our bucket list. What's next for CG?
Well, for Cigi's Enterprises, I launched the website last year. We launched it on April 1st, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to grow my website. We have shipped to 16 states, I believe. It's not taking off as fast as I want it to, but that's why I brought on Chelsea. Chelsea's just been with me since October, so the website's kind of her baby. So we're trying to nurture it and make it grow. I would love to, to see my website grow. As far
how are you getting customers in other states?
Instagram, people that have visited Cookeville that go back home and tell their friends about it. One of my best customers is Susan Wells, and she's a professor here at Tennessee Tech. And her daughter lives in Dallas, and when her daughter comes home, she gets a whole new wardrobe from Cigis to last her until her next visit home. Then she goes to her job looking all cute in Dallas, and her friends are like, oh my gosh, where did you get that? So I've shipped to several of her coworkers. People that have lived in Cookeville but then have since moved continue to shop with me. So
Do you advertise outside of locally?
I don't. And that's something that I need to look into. And I've actually been looking into that, billboards, as far as, in different cities in Tennessee. And because I do ship a lot to Chattanooga and I do ship a lot to Nashville. And so that's kind of where we're going now. We're trying to grow the website. Yeah. So that's on my, plan for the next year.
Growth pattern. What else besides growing the website? Any other ideas of other ventures you think you might go into?
I would love to expand and carry menswear.
What?
I would love to do that, and my husband would love and would be great at that too. So that's kind of something that we talk about, and that we, we're kind of planting that seed, but it's nowhere near happening anytime soon. But I would love to, be a one-stop shop for everyone's wardrobe, not just women. I would love to grow into the men's world as well. So
kids wear?
I don't know. I know nothing about kids wear. Like, I don't have children. All my friends have children, and I'm the best aunt ever in the world. They love me. But I know nothing about kids wear, so I don't necessarily see that on the horizon.
Well, and I think kids wear, women's wear might be too, a little bit regionally. There's a definite southern.
Women's wear big time. Because when I worked in the industry, I would go to New York at least once a month, and I'd go to Chicago and San Francisco and Miami, and it's completely different in each one of those locations.
So would you, as you expand your website, would you try to, feed into that a little bit more?
In the future, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because people in New York are not wearing really what I carry.
They're not wearing ruffles.
They're not wearing ruffles and lace.
As you know, I have a hard time with the ruffles.
Yes, but... I have more than just ruffles and lace.
For sure.
But we do definitely cater to the southern, because we're in Cookeville. That's who my customers are. Right. So yes, I think in the future I would cater to those different
You need
regions.
The big, huge bows for the kids wear that are bigger than the kid's size head.
Yes.
I feel as though you think these are cute bows. My northernness does not allow me to go with that. So... what are some goals that you want to reach besides growing the website? What other, maybe a variety of clothes, any menswear?
Well, I'll tell you this. I would like to cater, I think most of my customers are, I'd say 30 and older. So I would like to tap into the younger women because we live in a college town. I mean, we have several high schools here with thousands of high school girls. So I would like to kind of tap into that. I think from the beginning, I was my target age group, young professional, young moms. But now, I would say my average customer is honestly like 45 and older. So I would like to tap into the younger women as well. No, we do have stuff for them, but it's not like a destination point for high school girls to come to Cigis.
When will you have known that you made it? What will be that benchmark that says, I have made it? Or maybe you already feel like you have.
I'm not going to lie. When I got my first billboard and Roland brought me the little mini billboard, I was like, I have made it. Like, that was a big moment to be able, first of all, to afford a billboard was a big deal for me. And then, to hear yourself on the radio. I don't take anything lightly. Any, thing that happens with my business. I'm honored to be sitting in this chair today talking to you, and I mean that. So when I see my billboard, when I hear myself on the radio, when I see my clothes, when I'm out in Cookeville and I see someone wearing a dress from my store, I've made it. But I don't think there will ever be a point where I'm like on the mountaintop, pounding my chest like I'm here, I've arrived.
I was thinking more like on a poolside with like a hat, but mountaintop works too, either one.
But I want to keep growing. I want to keep evolving. I want to keep being relevant. It's hard to stay relevant with as quick as the trends change and with technology and keeping up with everything. And, we hear this, brick and mortars are going nowhere. I don't believe that. I choose to not believe that. You come to my store any given day, my little bell's ringing all day long with people coming in. So I just want to stay relevant and to stay relevant in my community.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming in. You have listened to Powered by Her in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center. We had Cigi England in today. Thank you for joining us today.